What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bold Standard Podcast. Coming to you guys with another week of Chargers content, another preview show. We got a Monday Night Football, another primetime matchup. Eagles at the Chargers this week. But a lot of you guys are probably out there that are watching this play fantasy football. We're all football fans that are watching this, I would assume. Justin, how you looking heading into the fantasy playoffs? I think this is the last week before the playoffs in most leagues.
Yes, sir. Week 14, a lot of tough games happening to get some of these last playoff spots kind of sealed up. But I'm in three fantasy leagues, and man, it's been a roller coaster of season on all my leagues, honestly. But one of my leagues, I'm looking pretty good. I'm in the third. I got the third seed sealed up. I potentially can take the two seed this week with the win. My other two leagues, I'm not in control of my destiny, but if I win, so I'm in a 16 team league. If I win this game, I'm pretty sure I'm in the driver's seat, and I think I can take the seventh seed, and there's only the top seven teams will make it to the playoffs in the 16 team league.
Yep.
Um, then I'm also in a 12-man league that I run, um, and if I win, it doesn't guarantee me a spot. I have to outscore two teams in my division, and I mean two teams in my league, and I've already kind of calculated what I would need to outscore them by.
Yeah.
So if that happens, then I can grab the seventh seed in this league. So I can make playoffs in all three leagues. But my team got to show up, and my team's been shaky all year. The 16 team league is it's hard, man, because you have a couple injuries, and it's rough, man, because there's nobody on waivers. You don't
No.
have deep benches. You only
Yeah.
in that league, we only got five bench spots, no IR. So it's slim pickings on there. You got some guys on your bench, and you're like, man, like this is what you got to work with. So it's tough in my 12 team league that I'm clawing and fighting. And I drafted Justin Jefferson first round, so I mean, the offense has just been bad quarterback play. So he's been killing me. And I've made a couple different little poor GM moves. A couple of weeks I've lost by like 3 points, 2 points, 4 points, and I had a guy on my bench that I probably should have started, and I was getting fancy, getting cute with it. Shouldn't have, and it cost me. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, we'll see, man. I could be in the playoffs in three leagues, or I can be in the playoffs in only one league. So
Yeah.
we'll see, man. What about yourself?
Man, but the Bull Daddies are my fantasy football team name, and both of I got two leagues. I got a work league and then a personal league. And in the work league, we already parted ways with our GM, so we're looking forward to next season. We didn't like the draft strategy this year, and then in my personal league, I think the head coach made a mistake a couple weeks back that might cost us the playoff spot. So we might be parting ways with the head coach in the other league. So you know that in the hunt graphic for the playoff race. Yeah, I'm not in either of them. So we're
Both
looking
daddies nowhere to be found.
we're on the next year. So unlike the Chargers, we're still right in the hunt. We're in the playoff spot. So, let's get to it. Let's talk about week 14. Prime time, Monday Night Football in SoFi. It's gonna be a fun game. I don't know if you're gonna watch the regular broadcast or the Monsters Inc. broadcast on ESPN too. But nah. So we got a game preview coming to you. So just gonna start it off. What are you excited to see? What are you looking for out there week 14?
Yeah, man. So it's gonna be a good one, man. Couple big things that obviously me and you chatted about last couple of days. So obviously we know um, Herbert had surgery on Monday. He's out there practicing. He's doing some things on the center. He's not actually taking snaps on the center, but he's doing some things on the center. So they kind of anticipate him maybe, if the swelling is good enough, if the pain tolerance is there, maybe taking some snaps on the center. Who knows? Might be a game fully under, out of the shotgun again, out of pistol formation. Who knows? So I think the things that I'm excited to see is just seeing how much more Herbert can do as opposed to when the hand obviously broke versus the Raiders. But then also, obviously, we heard the news that Jalen Carter would be out. So that's a big blow for them. I love to hear that because he's a game wrecker. He's a
Yeah.
game wrecker, and we know that the interior of our offensive line is not the best. I mean, it's been one of the worst units, this year, last year. So I think that's a big sigh of relief. They still got people that can play over there. I mean, we know that their D line has always got guys that's ready to go. So
Yeah.
we still got to be ready to go at it. But I think this is a big game on the ground for us. Last week we saw the Eagles kind of get punched in the mouth on the ground. The
Yeah.
Chicago had 200 yard rushers in Swift and Monangai. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, man, this could be a big game for us. We got O'Marion Hampton most likely back.
Yeah.
He's not in the non-contact jersey practicing, so I'm looking at it as like he's probably going to play.
Hmm.
Vidal's been super good for us, so got a nice 1-2 punch there. So I'm looking forward to that run game versus that defense. Like I said, they're down a man, Jalen Carter, but they're still a great defense. We know how good that unit is. They haven't been the best. They're averaging. I mean, they're 24th in the league right now, giving up 128.9 yards per game on the ground. So they're a little vulnerable there. So I think we continue to hit them there. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's gonna be a good game for us on the ground. I think we might have to rely on it more, knowing that Herbert has that ailment in the left hand, but he was out there slinging it against the Raiders, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised to see him out there slinging it against them too.
Yeah, and then another week of preparation with that hand, so he knows what he's comfortable with, and then we could game plan for it this week. Obviously Roman's going to do that. If a lot of people have mentioned how optimistic and hopeful the Chargers have seemed talking about this, and normally when guys have been out, we don't say much about injuries. So a lot of the media seem to think that the Chargers are going to play Justin Herbert and that he'll play. And if you look at the betting lines too, right? Um, 2.5 for the Eagles right now is a favorite. If
Hmm.
Justin Herbert wasn't going to play, if they didn't think they were going to play, it would be closer to, 7, 8, honestly.
Exactly. Be way up.
So I think if you look at those two things, it kind of seems like he'll play. So obviously, like you said, limitations. Will he take snaps under center? Mimicking that he will, seems to think that he should hope to be able to. So are you calling, is that your key matchup, the Chargers run game this week?
Yeah, that's my key matchup. Chargers run game versus obviously their entire defense. But looking at those two units up front, I think with what we did last week, we played the Raiders defense, so it's hard to kind of really quantify and look at how well our O line played. But I mean, against any defense, I mean, I thought the O line played a lot better last week. I thought they were just better as a unit overall. So we'll see how we play. We see how we play against the Eagles. Like I said, totally different defense. Obviously a much better coach team, much better coach unit. So we'll see.
I think you got to count that though, the way we looked against the Raiders, because that's a rivalry game. So if anybody's going to come out and want to beat you and stop the run, and then obviously they knew Herbert was hurt too, so they had to have been, knowing that, we got to run the ball to be successful, and we came out and did that first series in the third quarter, 2 quarters after we knew that, or after they knew that Herbert was injured. So I like that. I definitely think this is a trench football game, and I'm looking at the exact opposite. My key matchup is our run defense against the Eagles' run game
Mm.
because Eagles' run game hasn't been hitting this year like it normally does, especially like last year. We're not seeing the Saquon Offensive Player of the Year this year. And their O-line just isn't moving people off the ball like they did last year. And then obviously Lane Johnson's been out for a few weeks. Last I saw that he was questionable heading into this matchup. We won't have an official designation as the time of this podcast. So I'm leaning towards him not being able to play. And if he does, maybe he's not his full self, right? But they've been banged up on the offensive line up and down. The center spot's been in and out. Dickerson's been in and out. So um, if we can stop them on the run and not let them get right against us, because there's been games where we've let teams get right. We let the Commanders come in and get right. And that affects us if we can't stop the run because then it puts our pass defense in the spot that we don't want to be in. Now, if we're in 3rd and 5 or more and our pass defense is in a great spot, I don't think Jalen Hurts can beat us in the air. He's shown he can't beat a lot of teams in the air. And we have a really, really good pass defense, especially when Minter can do some things. And if he blitzes like the way he did last week and can heat Hurts up, man, I'm really, really optimistic about the type of noise that this defense can make. So I'm looking to make sure that we can stop them on the run and put ourselves in 3rd and 5 or more and make Jalen Hurts beat us through the air, which I'm pretty confident he can do. Now, if he does that, hey, I'll put my hands up and say I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure Minter and that secondary won't let that happen.
No, I love that. I love that call out because I mean they aren't the Eagles of last year. Their O line is nowhere near as effective as a unit as they were last year. Obviously, they lost Mekhi Becton, and obviously he's over here with us. Not, I don't, and it's kind of a toss up in knowing how much of an impact Becton actually had last year. I mean, don't get me wrong, he performed pretty well, but it's like, okay, did he perform well because of that whole offensive line as a unit? Was it because he was just more healthy? It's like it's kind of hard to really put a stamp on what's the reason for his play last year and his kind of decline this year. So obviously we know the years before Eagles, it just wasn't good for him either. So maybe it's just a regression to the mean. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're 22nd in the league in rushing yards per game. I mean, last year, like they were lighting teams up. You couldn't stop Saquon. He was getting 4 or 5 yards a clip before even getting touched. That's not the case this year. So
Right.
I'm interested in that too, and seeing if okay, is this going to be a game where they're able to get right? Where we've seen our defense play really good against the run, and we've seen us get really gassed against the run. So it's like you don't know. So I love that call out. I love that matchup because that can decide a lot of things. Like okay, make Jalen Hurts beat us, and I don't think he can. I mean, I think in his career, he's had some games where it's like, oh yeah, he could beat you through the air if he wants to. But I think it's more often than not, he's not going to beat you through the air. I've seen some tape where it's like, okay, he can throw it a little bit, he can do a little bit. But then I've also seen where it's like, yeah, what is everybody seeing in this guy? But
Yeah.
so I love your call out there because I don't think that if the game's on the line and he has to beat us through the air, I don't think it happens.
Yeah, and Mentor's his own specialist, and Hertz isn't an anticipatory quarterback. He doesn't look and find windows. He looks for matchups one-on-ones, and he'll take
Mhm.
Devontae or AJ in a one-on-one. And we don't really leave our corners on islands like that. So I think it'll be tough for him. And let's please not let Saquon be the 2,000-yard rusher of last year. Let's not let it be a Jonathan Taylor type game. So
Yeah.
a lot to look at for those key matches. But obviously, I think we're on the same page of this is a trench game. Who's going to be able to hold down a line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? And it's going to tell a lot because they have a quarterback that I don't think is very competent, and we have a quarterback that's coming off a hand injury. So who's going to be able to move the ball on the ground and stop the other team from doing that to put the team in a better spot? Field position battle too, maybe. So we'll see. I'm pretty confident. We got a home game on Monday night primetime, so I'm pretty excited to see how it shakes out. Let's slide over to that next segment, our betting segment, bold standard betting. Um, I know you're excited over there being in Missouri as a resident, and now that it is legal as of December 1st, right? So some of these bets now you could even get locked in with us. So we're gonna kick it over to you. Bolt the door lock of the week. We got to get you started with a lock, or get you guys started with a lock from the both of us. So Justin, what you going with this week?
Yeah, man, I'm taking it back to my boy. He's been with us for years. Obviously, last year he wasn't here, but that was something that out of our control. But he's back. He's back, and I think he's had a great, tremendous year with us. I think over the last couple of weeks, we've kind of seen his snap count kind of go down. But I've also think that we've been in games where he wasn't necessarily going to be relied upon. Now, obviously, we know I'm talking about third and Keenan here. Um, when he is needed, though, he is available and he typically comes through. So
Yeah.
I got Keenan Allen over 3.5 catches this game.
Mm,
His line's at 3.5. I think honestly, I think he's probably going to blow by that. I think in these kind of tough games, he's going to be more involved than versus the Raiders, versus the Titans, versus the teams where it's like they're not forcing us to really have to be, foot on the gas, make plays all game long. We could rely on the run game. I think we're still going to rely on the run game heavy this game, but I think that there's going to be a lot more like, hey, I need to make sure, especially knowing that, hey, I'm probably got to get this ball out quick because I don't want anybody kind of hitting me, touching his hand. He's probably going to be looking for Keenan early and often. And we know if it's third down, we know he's looking that way. Defenses also are starting to know that too. I mean, they should. I mean, he's third and Keenan. He leads the league in third down receptions,
yeah.
first downs on third down. Like he leads the league in so many of those categories where it's like teams start keying in, but you can't do too much because you got Ladd, you got QJ, you got Trey Harris who's becoming a factor, you got Gadsden who's out there doing his thing. So you can't just key in on guys because you're gonna get picked apart. This is not a quarterback that's locked in on a first read. He's done it a couple times and he's led to some interceptions, but he knows how to read a defense and he's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
You can't just try to take him away. So I love Keenan's over in this one, 3.5, because I think it's gonna be a game where I think Herbert's gonna rely on an old familiar face. Ladd's gonna be that guy too, but I love that 3.5 line. So it's at -114 on FanDuel.
No, that's a great call. And I think another thing is Vic Fangio relies on man-to-man defense and got to have it situations and with a little bit of pressure as well. What
Hmm.
does Keenan do? He beats man-to-man coverage. So especially if it's, going to be a third and medium, Keenan's that guy. So I
Yep.
love that. Herbert's safety well a blanket. So 3.5 should feel like a good spot. So I'm liking that for both of their lock. I'm going with the total this week over 41.5 for my Bulls door lock. I feel like that's really low. I mean, a 22-20 score gets you over that, right? 24-20, which is a score that's easily doable on both ends. Even if a team pops off and goes crazy, gets a couple scores that are unexpected,
Yeah.
that can happen. So I'm going with an over on the total of 41.5. That's at minus 102 currently on DraftKings, where I got my lines from. So, I think we do enough to score, both of us. I don't see a team getting held in the single digits.
Hmm.
So I see, maybe a team in the teens and a team in the 20s, or with this line being close, 2.5 spread. Both of us in the low 20s, that gets us over that 41.5 mark.
Yeah, I like that. I was just, I'm looking down because I'm scrolling. I'm like, man, that really is a low total. And I'm looking at
Yeah.
what other games are, might have a lower total than ours. There isn't a lot on the slate. I mean, we're tied for third lowest. The Titans and the Browns. I mean, you could almost assume that was going to be like
I
the
was gonna say
lowest
that's the one
total.
I knew.
Yeah, 33.5 on that one. But then there's another team, the Broncos and the Raiders, they're at 40.5, so a point under. But then we're tied for third with like three other teams at 41.5. So you're right. I mean, that is a pretty low total for two teams. I mean, I will say both defenses, we don't allow a lot of points.
Yeah.
We allow a lot, like both teams will kind of bend don't break kind of. They both allow a lot of yards.
Hmm.
But then once it gets close to red zone, they buckle down. They hunker down, hold you to three. You'll score a little bit on them, but I mean both of us are top 10 in scoring like points allowed.
Yeah.
So I can see why the total is lower. Plus you got, banged up Herbert, but
Yeah.
I think in this game there's definitely going to be some offense. So I like that over for sure.
And it could be either side. I mean, I'm hoping we're the side that drives that over up, but
Yeah,
it could go the other way and I still hit my lock. But you know,
for sure.
let's move it to the favorite over under. Speaking of overs and unders, your favorite over and under this week.
For sure. My favorite over or under for this week. I got Kamani Vidal over 37.5 yards. That's also at minus 114. I think there's going to be a lot of attention. With Omarion Hampton, his 21-day window to return was open last week. Obviously, they didn't play him. There was no need to play him versus the Raiders. So I do think he's going to be active this week. But I think even if he's active, he's not coming back to a bell cow 20 25 touches. It's going to be a pretty even split at least this game. And we seen last week how effective it was for the Chicago Bears to run, especially keep those two guys involved and keep fresh legs against that run defense. So I think 37.5 yards is a smash spot for Vidal. Um, I will say there is a little bit of hesitancy on my side, only because Kamani's kind of shown us the game, the blueprint for him. He's been an every other week type of guy. So I'm gonna let you know what he's looking like over the last 5 weeks and how it trended. This is the week that the blueprints say stay away, but I'm gonna say nah, we good here. So his last 5 weeks. So last week 25 carries for 126 yards. Week before that 5 carries for 13 yards. Week before that 25 carries for 95 yards. Week before that 12 carries for 30 yards.
Hmm.
Then the week before that, 23 carries for 117 yards. So literally, boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, bust. Last week was boom. So it's looking like a bust, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that he's gonna be able to continue that momentum. Hampton comes back. I think just you kind of have that synergistic kind of, hey, the top guys here. I got to be on my game because I'm not trying to lose, this momentum and the minutes that I had. Yeah, I'm not gonna be the top guy. They drafted him in the first round, but I could do stuff too. So I love that number, 37.5. I don't think that's a hard number at all. Um, he had one run last week, 59 yards. So
Right.
you run like that, boom, you blow that over out the door. So I love
Absolutely.
that number.
No, I'm curious to see, and if you don't mind, if you still got the FanDuel pulled up, what if they
Yep.
have carries if they have what their estimated carries are for both him and Hampton because I think that'd be a nice tell of what they think that split might be because I do think
Yeah,
I'm for sure know that we're not getting to have Hampton get the bell cow of the carries again. I do anticipate it to be fairly even, but if you imagine, with the banged up Herbert, both of them being right around 12 or 13 carries, that makes 37 and a half. It was 37 and a half, you said?
37 and a half. Yep.
Very doable. That's 3 yards a carry if you get 12 attempts.
Exactly. So they got Hampton at 12 and a half, but they don't even have Vidal on there. But if you wanna look at the yards that they're expecting Hampton to have, they have Hampton's over under at 43 and a half. So they got Vidal at 37 and a half, Hampton at 43 and a half, and then they got Hampton at 12 and a half carries. So what's Vidal got to be 10 and a
Yeah.
half carries? I mean,
Sounds like
it's
even split to me almost.
exactly. So I mean, 10 and a half carries, like you said, even if you're averaging 3 yards a carry, I mean, that's 30 yards right there. You
Yeah.
tell me you can't pop off one of those for an extra
Yeah.
5 or 6.
And
So
and they're just
I
keeping
see that. I like that
Omar.
number.
They're just keeping Omar in higher because he's the name and the guy coming back,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So I like that one. I like that a lot. I think it's smart. He's got quote unquote a hot hand after last week, and it's a good performance to build off of. I thought he looked good out there, and he continues to run well outside the tackles. And little known thing, I don't know if you've noticed this, a lot of big run plays that we've had, nine has been on the field blocking. Trey Harris opens up a lot
Mm,
of lanes on the outside and continues to let guys get a 10-yard gain turn into a 20, 30-yard run. He was
mm.
on there. He pulled and led on that long 59-yard touchdown run. So something to keep an eye on. When nine's out there, run plays seem to work a little bit better. Um, so my favorite over-under this week, I'm actually going with the under. I'm going A.J. Brown under 59 and a half receiving yards.
Mm.
If you know anything about the NFL this year, he's been, talking about not being happy in that offense. Usually that offense isn't pass happy anyway. And with us being a very good pass defense, especially high zone usage from Jesse Minter, I think that's going to be a tough matchup for AJ Brown to get the ball. I also think it's more of like a regression to the mean as well, kind of one of those roller coaster things. Last week,
Yeah.
especially, they were down, so they had to throw, but he had 10 catches for 132.
Mm,
I don't see this being a one where you ride that wave because I think this is a totally different game, too, totally different game script. They got down and had to throw against Chicago
mm.
at home. Now they're on the road, so I don't think this favors AJ Brown very well. So I'm taking him under 59 and a half receiving yards. It's minus 114 currently on DraftKings.
No, I like that. And I mean, I think overall, I mean, I think we've done really well against wide receiver ones for the other teams. I mean, you look at some of the big receivers that have come in. I mean, you look at Justin Jefferson. I mean, I get it because I've even talked about him early on. I mean, the quarterback play is not there. But there was some of these different receivers that we're going against. I think a lot of times we're holding our own against those wide receiver ones. I mean, whether it's Cam Hart on them, whether it's Dante Jackson on them, our corners have played really well. Whether it's a zone scheme, man every now and then. So now I like that call out. I think it's like I said, it's going to be a game where they do try to rely on a run game. They do try to get that going, and I just don't think that the volume is going to be there for AJ. Now, the number isn't extremely high, and we know that he is a volume guy, but. I don't. We keep everything in front. We don't allow big plays. So like he's gonna have to have 6, 7, 8 catches probably to hit that number, maybe even more
Exactly.
potentially. It's not gonna be a 3 catch 70 yards. It's not gonna be that. So
Yeah.
are they gonna be comfortable with just going underneath or not? And honestly, he's not their underneath target. They typically don't use him in that fashion. He'll
No.
have some stuff like that, but he's not the guy for them underneath. So we'll see what happens. But I do like that under because we've just been really good as a pass defensive unit. So I love that call.
Yeah, and they even have his line for receptions at 4.5 right now. So that shows you they don't expect him to have a ton of targets or receptions anyway. So
Nope.
I'm locking in that under 40 59 and a half for AJ Brown. Last but not least, everybody loves a good anytime touchdown. Who do you like this week?
Going back to Kamani, man. Going back to Kamani. I think he gets in. I think he scores again. I just think it's gonna be a big game from him. I think that we're gonna rely on the ground game. I don't think that Hunt is gonna be the guy overall. I think it's gonna be a really even split. And honestly, depending on the game script and how things are going, I can see Kamani getting more work than Hampton, to be honest. And I think he might even get more goal, like red zone kind of goal line work. Because I don't know how much they want to push Hampton in his first week back. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit more cautious. And now, don't get me wrong, he's going to be very involved, but I think that Kamani everything that he's been doing these last couple of weeks is, when, Hampton not being there, I think they're gonna be like, you know what? You've earned the right to still be heavily involved in this offense. And I think that he might get some of those cracks where it's like goal line carries, and I think he'll get those over Hampton this week. Now going forward, I'm not sure that's the case. I think a week removed, Hampton gets, 1 week under his belt. I think after that, it's like, okay, let's pivot it back to more of a rely on Hampton. Vidal still involved, but not a even split or even maybe in Vidal's favor, which I think this game will be. So his anytime Dutch touchdown is at plus 280 on FanDuel, so those odds are really nice.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that call.
No, I do too. I like that value, especially because I tend to agree. I think Vidal will get just as much work as Hampton, if not more, unless Hampton has like some big runs and looks really good out there. I think
Hmm.
that's the only way he takes away from at least a 10 carry day from Kamani Vidal. Because, you
Yeah.
know, even though Hampton's our number one pick and he has all the makings to be a good back, he missed a heavy portion of the season since what was that, week 4 against the Giants?
Yeah.
10 weeks of NFL football, 11 weeks if you count the bye. And now you want to throw them into a December meaningful game, 8-4 teams fighting for a playoff spot. It's a lot to ask for a rookie.
Yep.
So
Prime time too.
I exactly, I agree. I think Vidal is the guy that should be leaned on just a little bit more. But I do want 8 to be great. So if he does break off, hey, I'm happy to see it. But I
For
trust
sure.
your thought process there with Vidal. I'm going OG. Goes back to how I mentioned Vic Fangio likes to be a man-to-man guy and got to have it situations, and that favors OG, especially in certain matchups he might get, whether it be against a linebacker like Nakobe Dean possibly lining up against him, or some of the safeties that they got out there. I think he's a little too big for those guys, so it could also be a security blanket for just in case Justin doesn't play and it's Trey Lance. Tight ends are always a fun option, but we already see Justin likes to go to him too. So if he's quick over the middle and one of those guys open, because he's right in front of you as a tight end, lining up closer in the line of scrimmage, a lot of possibilities there, and we haven't
Mhm.
really heard from him much. So this seems like a game where he can pop back out with a good matchup against a team that I don't think has a great man-to-man matchup for him, and that
Mhm.
does a lot of man-to-man defense.
Yeah, I mean, he almost had one last week. He had that pass over the seam, and I think as he gets more comfortable, just playing. I mean, he's a rookie. I think as he gets more comfortable, more maybe secure in his body as well, because those he probably was like, I'm gonna go down because I don't know if I'm about to get hit right here. So it's like go down, secure the ball, secure the catch. But I mean, I
Yeah, that was
see.
down at like the 2 yard line, right?
Yeah, but I see some tight ends, they catching that and they're gonna stay up on their feet because they know they're close to the end zone. I think he was like, you know what, I need to come down with this. Let me just come down with it, make sure I got it. I don't want to get hit and lose it. So, but he had a chance last week. But I love, man, I love OG, man. I love OG. I love everything that he's been doing this year. I will say the last couple of weeks that he hasn't been heavily involved as much as he has, obviously, because we know we have issues with the O line. So his snap counts have been like drastically declining. But you're seeing more Tucker Fish. You're seeing more of the heavy packages because it's like, hey, we need to make sure that we're not just leaving these tackles on the island. So,
Right.
but I do think that there's not a good matchup for him on that team. I do think Zach Bond is a really good linebacker for them. But I also think that OG is just that good of a tight end. He's really a receiver, but it's like, he plays tight end. Um, I think it's going to be a hard matchup for any of them. So if he's going out on routes, any of those linebackers or safeties that they have on that team, I don't think they can do anything with him. And I think their top safety that they just drafted,
Cuba.
yeah, Makuba. I don't think he's playing this week. So I mean, I saw him. I didn't I didn't look at the last injury report today, but I know he was banged up like coming out of that game last week. He got hurt. So I don't think he's playing. So like I said, they're down some guys over there too. So I mean, it's week 14, man.
Yep,
Everybody's got injuries. You got to
exactly.
weather the storm, and we weathered the storm. We're 8-4, so I
hmm
don't want to hear it from any other team. So no, I like OG, man. You know how I feel about that boy.
Yeah, he's plus 240 that I saw on DraftKings. So his odds actually went down a little bit from yesterday from two plus 255 to 240. So maybe some people are liking that action. Maybe they know that Herbert might play, so he might head his way. So I like that one too. So, December football, week 14, 2 8-4 teams. Let's get to that game prediction. So Monday night football, big time matchup to finish off the week. A lot of actually really, I think there's like 5 or 6 matches between teams that like Whoever wins the game puts himself in a really good playoff spot.
Yeah.
Um, Eagles are favored by 2.5 currently right now. On the road, we're in SoFi, so we're at home on Primetime. So, Justin, I'll kick it off to you. What's your prediction for this matchup?
Yeah, man, they got us as home dogs, man, home underdogs. I think there's something to be said about that. Like I said, we are a team that, I think if you look at the injuries we have to deal with, how we've kind of been a little shaky every now and then. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. The Eagles, reigning champions. I'm not mad at it. But I do think that we need to come out with some fire under us because of that. Despite a quarterback with a non-throwing hand injury, we need to figure it out. We need to get the job done. So I got us winning this game. Like you said, that I do have us going over. I don't think it's going to be a game that's. I definitely think it's a one score game. I think it's gonna be something that's real close, comes down to the wire, and it's either gonna be something where we come down, kick the game winning field goal, or it's gonna be something where like we get a stop on their game winning drive, we get a stop and we end up winning that game. So I got us winning it 24-21, going a couple points over that over. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a game that just kind of goes back and forth the whole night. Um, because I don't think either offense is to the point where their foot is just always on the gas. They just always seem to, I'm gonna get 3 points here, I'm gonna get 7 points here, I'm gonna get 7 points, I'm gonna get 3 points. I think it's gonna be a lot of punting in this game, to be honest. But I do think that there are gonna be pockets where, you get a quick score from a team and then team bounces back and they fight back. I don't think it's gonna be any time where it's like, man, this team is up by 3 scores. It's not going to be any of that. I think this is going to be a close game throughout. So I got us winning 24-21, going to 9-4. And I feel like we really need this win because we got some really, really, really tough games on the road coming up.
Man,
And I feel like we need to get this one at home.
yeah, I'm with you about that schedule coming up and then protecting home field because we got to get, if we lose this one, we'd have to go get a couple on the road or one on the road. That's going to be tough to do with some games coming up. You know, I actually struggle with this pick, with Herbert's injury. Eagles being coming off 2 losses. Will they lose three in a row when they really need to win two? I know they got their division lead. Cowboys just lost on
Mhm.
Thursday night, so that gives them a little bit of space because if Cowboys would have won and then Eagles lose, they are a half game out with that tiebreaker with that win. So this was I struggled with this one. And I originally picked the Eagles. But I'm a homer. So this is a Chargers podcast. I'm going Chargers 23-20, getting over that 41.5. I flipped. I listened to some stuff earlier today and yesterday, some different pods, and they made some points that really resonated with me. Another thing this year, we're 4-0 in prime time. Why not 5-0? That sounds good to me. Another win on Monday night.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and then something that goes along with what we are talking about, how big of a game this is to get to 9-4. Playoff odds. If we win this game, we jump to 75%. We're currently sitting at about 60, and that just goes off of like not knowing what else is going to happen in other games this weekend.
Hmm.
But just with us getting a win, regardless of what happens anywhere else, we jump to 75%. With the loss, we go down to 46. And like you mentioned, tough schedule. We got to go to KC next week, Dallas the week after that, back home to Houston, who is playing. I don't even want to. I don't even want to think about doing that preview because that defense, man. I'm
Yeah.
hoping they come through and put KC out of here and slam that door because that defense is a monster, and I'm not looking forward to playing them in a few weeks.
No.
But man, huge implications on the line with that playoff percentage. So I would love to see us take care of home field, get a win, and then go into KC with a little bit not of comfortability, not needing like man, if they win and we win, all of a sudden we got a huge matchup in KC next week, and I know that's a week away. We need to focus on this Monday night. But man, your head goes so all over the place with this possibilities with these schedules. So, but I'm going 23-20. I want to see us take care of business, and I think we can because I think it comes down to that defense, and I think our defense will stop them more than they'll be able to stop us in what trench game on the ground. I think our line on both sides of the ball stops theirs.
No, I mean I love it. Like I said, I think our defense has played really well all year. Outside of a couple spots where hey, played the Colts, where we were pretty banged up. I mean, we had no Khalil Mack played like what 5 snaps, 8 snaps. There were a couple games where we just pass rush non-existent. Like there's been a couple games where it's like, man, is this what's going on with Chargers defense? But when you look at us in totality, our defense is really good. every team is going to have those spots where they don't look the best, and they don't show you what they've been capable or what they've been doing the whole year. I don't think that that's a knock on us. I just think that that's football. It's the NFL. You're never going to be the greatest defense. You're going to get exposed at times because these are really good teams. These are really good players you're playing against. These are really good coaches you're going against, who have game plans and know how to attack you certain ways. So, I love our defense, and I think that our defense definitely gets the job done this week, and allows us to win that game with that tight margin. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. What else you got for us before we're ready to close this out?
And nothing else. Looking forward to a Monday night game. Gotta love having that Monday night spot. Good way to come home after a work day on a Monday and lock into some Chargers football. So, I'm ready to bolt up, enjoy this weekend, and then, check back in Monday and see what happens.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'll be able to kind of just view the Sunday games and kind of, hang out a little bit. Like you said, the Missouri betting is live. So, I might get a couple live bets in. I haven't been able to do none of that,
Like, what's up,
sprinkle
man?
sprinkle that in there. They got a lot of promos, man, working with a lot of bonus bets and stuff. So it ain't my money, but I'm trying to turn it into some money. So definitely gonna sprinkle some stuff in. Obviously, we definitely gonna lock in on everything that we talked about in the pod here, because I think we got some really good calls, really good locks, and really good plays this week. So yeah, man, we're gonna see what happens, man. We're gonna lock those in, but let's get out of here, man. Let's wrap this up. So appreciate everybody sticking in with us, being here with us, tuning into the pod. It's week 14 for us, man. So we've been doing this for a couple, like I said, 14 weeks now. Did it over the bye week. Made sure we bring you that Chargers mail back. So we want to bring you guys content every week, whether it's our pregame matchups, postgame recaps, all that good information, so you guys can just have some of the best information out there. From a different vantage point. There's a lot of different podcasts out there. So shout out to all those podcasts that are out there as well. But we want to make sure that we're bringing you guys some great content as well. So we appreciate you guys sticking out with us, tuning in with us every single week, referring our content, getting it out there. Um, we just want to make sure that we know we want to make sure that we appreciate you guys. But yeah, let's do it, man. Weekends here, prime time. Let's get to 5-0. And until Monday night, bolt up.